Welcome back to Catholic Shorts, your place for bite-sized Catholic philosophy, theology, and apologetics. Today, we're discussing the Galileo Affair. We've all heard the story of Galileo, where he was persecuted for his heliocentric theory because of a church that was scared of science. But the facts in this case are far less fantastic than the fiction. So what really happened? First of all, we need to note that Galileo wasn't the first person to bring up the heliocentric theory. Copernicus had done it in 1530, and it was well received by Pope Clement VII. He even dedicated his published work, 6 books on the revolution of the celestial orbits, to Pope Paul III. So the church wasn't really scared of this idea of heliocentrism. So how does Galileo fit into all this? Well, in 1616, he went to Rome to win support for his theory. He talked to Pope Paul V, who brought the idea over to the Inquisition, and the Inquisition ruled that Galileo could not teach his theory publicly or defend it. However, he could investigate the matter privately. He even met with Pope Paul V afterwards, and Pope Paul V assured Galileo he was not in trouble. In 1624, Galileo again traveled to Rome to meet with Pope Urban VIII, who was a great supporter of Galileo. Pope Urban VIII gave Galileo gold and silver medals, a painting, and a papal letter recommending that the leaders of the Tuscan Republic continue their patronage of him. Where things went wrong for Galileo was when he published his work in 1629, Dialogue Concerning the Two Chief World Systems. This book was a debate between 3 philosophers. One philosopher preferring the heliocentric theory, the other one against it, and a third one to be a mediator between the two. The philosopher who was against heliocentrism, Galileo, named Simplicio, which means simpleton, and then he put the arguments favored by Pope Urban VIII in Simpleton's mouth, really offending the Pope. Along with offending the Pope, he'd also disobeyed the 1616 directive to not teach or defend his heliocentric theory since he could not prove it as fact. Galileo was summoned to Rome in 1632, and instead of being put in ecclesiastical jail, he was put up in a 5-room suite and given a personal servant. Galileo admitted he went too far in his book and offered to write a book arguing for the other position. He was sentenced to 3 years, but his sentence was immediately commuted. He lived under limited house arrest with freedom of movement, and his penance to say 7 penitential psalms a week, he got deferred so that his daughter, a Carmelite nun, could say them for him. At the end of the day, Galileo was not in trouble for his science. Galileo was in trouble for being a jerk and being disobedient. The church doesn't hate science. The church has often been at the forefront of science. The Galileo Affair stands as a shining example of how the Enlightenment thinkers twisted history to meet their own ends. I'm looking at you, Voltaire, looking at you. For Catholic Shorts, my name is Russell Nance, and I will see you later.